Jingle bells, Grindberg smells, big boned Dudley. Oh, hey. Hey, Merry Christmas, Mike.
Merry Christmas.
Today is the winter solstice.
'Tis.
Monday is Christmas Day. Yeah. You got anything going on tonight?
This is tonight. This is what I got going on. What about you?
So, watching Olave score for your fantasy team in the playoffs. How about
No.
Saturday, Sunday? You got plans Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, there's some football going on Saturday.
Playoff games. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
just
then
noticed that I'm red and you're green. We're Christmas colors, buddy.
yeah, man. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. All right. So, you think we should give some advice to the peoples out there so that they know what to do with their lineups this week?
Let's do it, bro.
Hey, let's go. That's the wrong button. We need a producer. Let's go now. I hope you didn't start Cooper Cup tonight. All right. So, went to Costco the other day, and I saw my bud Bo McBrayer, Bo McBigtime on Twitter, and they didn't have any of the large bottles. They just had these single serving sizes. But I decided for Big Boned's Whiskey Minute Holiday Special Edition, I'm going to mix you up a cocktail to lament the demise of Grindberg's Scott Fishbowl team. So we got some Woodford Reserve. We're going to pour a little bit of that into the glass. And I'm feeling for the holidays a little bit of mocha style. So I'm going to grab this stuff. It's called Shanky's Whip. It's an Irish whiskey liqueur. It's coffee flavored. Oop, just a little bit of that in there. Oop. But you know what goes really, really good with coffee? Chocolate. So I got some Kahlua rum from the island of Kauai. And this is cocoa flavored rum. And this is straight up sugar cane that they grow on the plantation. They use all Kauaian ingredients. In their coconut rum, they use actual coconut water instead of coconut flavoring like Malibu and all that stuff. In this one, it's actual cacao. So we got a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of rum, a lot of whiskey. Perfect. And it's not a monogram glass this week. It's a glass with a little man on it. I believe his name is James Daniels. Some people called him Jack. And that's Tennessee whiskey, not bourbon. But Merry Christmas, everybody. And that was Big Boned's Whiskey Minute.
Well,
oh, that's delicious.
Thanks for mixing it up for everybody.
Hey, no problem. It's the least I could do. If you can't drink it, I can at least show you how to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that this being week 16, and there being really 2 weeks left in the fantasy season, unless you're in some degenerate kind of league that plays all the way through to the final in week 18, like who would do that?
Eesh.
And the number of leagues I have, I don't have any leagues like that, so I don't think anybody does. But there's got to be somebody out there.
That's a myth.
So
I'm pretty sure that's a myth.
oh, I don't know. I'm looking for another. Oh, Cup's still in the game. Give me Demarcus or Puka right here. I picked up Demarcus in my European fantasy football charity event, and that's turning out
Ty-
good, looking good so
Tyron
far.
Williams, come on.
Yeah. So oh, you'll get to the breaking news, but hey, here's Mike with the news.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? Happy holidays, everybody. We mentioned that already, but we
I'm
have
good.
we have the biggest thing happening this week,
What is
and
that?
it's happening on Christmas Day, and it is the Chiefs and Raiders playing.
Oh my God. What's the line? Chiefs minus 21, Chiefs minus 32.
No, -10. I think it's
No.
Chiefs -10. It's not too bad, man. And I think your Raiders are, after their game they played last week, I think they got some momentum here. I think they might show up this week and play for their coach.
Momentum's never mattered in that rivalry. The only thing that's
Yeah.
ever mattered is the team colors. And if you don't wear red and yellow, you don't really have a shot.
All right. Okay. Well, that is an unoptimistic Raider fan, and I'm sorry, but
Totally.
yeah. There's, you know
Let's
what? I
see.
love.
Let's break it down. We got rookie quarterback going against reigning MVP,
Hey,
like
let's not even break
Super
it
Bowl
down. We don't need
champs.
to. We got
You
we
know,
got we
good
got a
process, Mike. Good process. Let's use
we
good
got a
process.
team player for their coach. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Raiders win this game by any means, but I think they're going to play for AP, and hopefully they can get him a job next year. I like him. I do. I really do. I think his
I do
game
too.
management needs to improve, but other than that, his team plays behind him, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they extend him this year?
I sure hope so because the way that the team has been playing with him at the helm gives me hope and optimism, and I can see a trajectory forward which I couldn't see before. I'm just as much a defeatist now as I was when Josh McDaniels was in the building. The biggest difference is I have hope for next year. So
Exactly. We'll see what
yeah.
happens. I mean, I think if they do, I like Champ Bailey there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if those two can stay in there, I think they have a good shot at being competitive right away.
Bo Hardigree and Patrick Graham have been absolutely fantastic in their play calling as the coordinators, and I want them that whole regime to stick around. I think they deserve to get some time.
Yeah, and I think they've done a good job of AP's have done a good job of relying on those coordinators to help him through these things because he hasn't been good at making some of these calls, and now he's improving on that, and there's some optimism there in my perspective. So hopefully we see some results, and I think it's going to be a closer game this week. Still, the Chiefs are going to take it, I think, but yeah, I'm not counting out your Raiders.
Well,
We
that makes
have
one of us.
all right. Well, I love that we got some Saturday games. We got the Bengals and Steelers, Bills and Chargers. I mean, those games might have looked a lot better to start the year, but now there's, you know, not much optimism in either of these games. I mean,
Chase is out, Pickett's out, Mason Rudolph is starting, Pat Fryermuth is questionable. Like, yeah,
yeah, I
the
mean,
whole league is just an infirmary at this point.
yeah. So we're looking at just more looking at players in these games than the actual game, which sucks because a lot of guys are out of their playoffs at this point and are looking for some football to watch, and there's not much there, even for playoff implications as well. So, at least Christmas Day, lovely, lovely, lovely. Some great games there. We have the Chiefs and Raiders. We talked about the Eagles and Giants, and the main event, the number one seeds in each conference squaring off the 49ers and Ravens. I love it. I think that's going to be a great game. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think that's going to swing down?
I have no idea, and I just hope the Ravens can come out on top. Yeah, that like, come on, who? if
Huh,
anybody
I
says
know.
that they have a beat on what that game outcome is going to be, they're lying to you. So I mean, you can do all the analysis in the world that you want, but I mean, it really is. It's going to come down to um, flips of the coin, luck. Hopefully, everybody stays uninjured. If there's an injury, that's probably going to affect it. You have two incredible defenses. I if I was forced to put money on it, I would put money on the 49ers just because I think that their offense is in a better place than the Ravens.
Hmm.
But both of those defenses are just like you don't want to play against either of them. So I think the 49ers might have a slight edge. Um, but yeah, I'm not betting on it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And, most people are going to be, enjoying their Christmas day, and it's going to be a great way to end the day. And hopefully, a lot of people are going to be sweating out their fantasy matchups on.
Bring out the roast beast.
Exactly. I love it. I can't wait. Monday nighter, Christmas Day, 49ers, Ravens. You can't ask for anything better right now, can you?
You doing a rib roast?
I don't actually cook on Christmas. It's just not. It's the in-laws that do it all. My
Mm.
mom and dad have us over for brunch, so we do a huge brunch. I'm actually doing uh the bread this year, so we do like a fry bread, kind of like a donut for breakfast, but it's just like you rise bread and then we cut
Yeah,
it into like little beignets, is what we call it, and and then we put like peanut butter or whatever we want to put on like breakfast toppings, and we only do that on Christmas, so we'll do that and bunch of breakfast meats and whatever else. I think I might convince my mom to make a quiche as well. So we'll see what
you
happens
got
there.
you
And
got
then,
some back bacon.
oh, no, we don't do the
No,
Canadian bacon, eh? Not in our house, eh? We do
in
the
Canada it's just
side
called
bacon.
bacon.
Yeah, anything pork is bacon, eh?
So what do they call beignets in Quebec?
I don't know. Donuts,
Beignets.
beignets. Yeah, well, that's what we call it beignets in here. Like we're French Canadian, but not like the French as far as like the Quebec French. We're like Prairie French, so we have a little bit less of a French accent, and
Not Acadian, but Acadian adjacent. Adjacent.
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. We're totally along those lines,
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, man. Back on track here. We got fantasy playoffs continuing, so hopefully you're still ahead. You're still going on. In most leagues, it's your semifinals, and we got some players that are injured now, which are going to impact that. We have injuries that are coming back that are going to impact your lineup. And the thing is that if you were able to get through your, you know, Tyreek Hill extravaganza last week, so many fantasy teams were shipped down to first place, and hopefully you had a bye and you didn't need Tyreek last week, because most fantasy teams that had to play last week and didn't have Tyreek Hill in their lineup suffered a lot, because there wasn't a whole lot of scoring last week either.
I have a team with Ayuk, Tyreek, and Chris Olave, and I advanced last week.
Hmm.
Somehow. I don't know how, but
It just happens because
yeah.
somebody had a worse week than you did, and
Right.
I experienced that as well. I was one of the lower scorers in one of my leagues, the Larky League, and the guy I was facing just had a worse score than I did, and I ended up advancing. But you know what? I had a great season, and I lost games that I shouldn't have lost. So what comes around goes around, and sometimes that favors you in the championships weeks, and that's why we play this game.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, what came up this last couple days here? Trevor Lawrence concussion. He was ruled out today. What's going on there? Wow.
So from what I saw was that he entered protocol today. So that makes it unlikely that he's going to
Yeah,
play, but he does not have an out designation at this point. So everybody who's got Lawrence and you were planning on starting him because he's got an incredible matchup and he was my number one quarterback in my top 10 rankings this week, keep an eye on Trevor Lawrence's injury and get ready to pivot.
absolutely. Absolutely. Zach Wilson, another one with the concussion, DNP, unlikely as well. So What is?
Simeon season. The
Yeah,
Jets
like
have the Jets have a good matchup too. So in my all quarterback league, I am getting ready to throw Simeon in there.
crazy. What about Will Levis with the high ankle sprain? He did not practice again twice this week. That's a shocker. So we'll see. Maybe Tannehill starts. What like the yeah? I mean, like you said, you're a guy that says ankle sprains aren't a big deal for people that aren't a running back. Tyreek missed last week of the high ankle sprain. Um, what are your thoughts on Levis playing?
One of Levis's upsides is that he is kind of a bowling ball runner. When he
Mm-hmm.
gets going, it's hard to bring him down. But it's not that running is his game. Uh, I would start Levis if he's playing. I'm not starting Tannehill if he's playing.
Yeah, like I mean, if they take out that run game out of Levis's game, like what's the point of starting him if you're the Titans? You might as well just start Tannehill then, because
I, I I think you're looking at somebody who can manage the game better with Tannehill, but somebody
yeah,
who's going to win the game with his arm,
arm,
which is
yeah,
Levis, and Tannehill's not going to be able to do that.
uh,
Tannehill hasn't done that in a long, long while.
yeah, and that's fair. Um, Jamar Chase is out this week. The Bengals just can't get anybody to stay healthy on that squad. Like it's one after another. They're right in the thick of the hunt there. Jake Browning has been playing great. Um, they're T. Higgins, huge week last week. Great catch on the goal line. Should be another smash play. Look for Tyler Boyd to also be involved there highly. They like that slot position there. They're vulnerable. So I like Tyler Boyd as a sleeper pick there in this one.
Yep, absolutely. So Folsom legend Jake Browning should have a good week. And I also have taken Tyler Boyd and slotted him into a whole bunch of flex spots. And let's go.
Yeah.
Hooday.
Michael Pittman with a concussion, and surprising, he came out to practice today and he didn't have any sort of penny on. So like they were full contact with him today. So looks like he is gonna play because he's in the latter stages of concussion protocol. And if he's already lost the non-contact jersey there, then he is looking like a smash play too. Unfortunate for me because I'm playing him in like 4 out of 5 leagues that I'm still in on, and oh man, I was hoping for a break there, but it's not looking like it's gonna happen.
Well, we're monitoring him at the Player Profiler news desk, and if
Mm-hmm.
anything happens, we will report it as quickly as we can. Um, but some big news: Jonathan Taylor is gonna be back, so maybe
Yeah,
he'll score a touchdown like Kyron Williams just did.
thank you. That's some good news, my friend. I needed that, and I appreciate you spoiling it and not spoiling Survivor for me because I'm out of the loop and we're watching it tomorrow. So thanks, bro.
Yeah, had to make sure.
I almost cried when I saw that Keaton Mitchell injury. Um, Storyline here. Love the guy. Been playing lights out since he's got an opportunity. I think he's got a really bright future ahead. And what are your thoughts? Devastating
Smash,
injury.
smash, smash. However you need to do it, acquire him in Dynasty. Take
Yeah,
advantage of the injury, grab him. It's going to be a 12-month ordeal for him to come back. So you can leave an IR spot open, and to start the season next year, he's going to be sitting there. But once he comes back and he's back in full, I mean, he's a little guy. He's a
mm-hmm.
Chan size morsel, but dude can fly. He can put it together. He hits. Go grab him in as many leagues as possible and take advantage of the market dip from his injury.
Yeah, so you're not worried about J.K. Dobbins and his role there. I know that J.K. Dobbins has suffered a couple pretty devastating knee injuries here. So like do you think his career's done? Like is Keaton Mitchell going to be the guy if those two are both kind of
It's
on the
it's
mend?
Baltimore, so it's going to be a committee regardless. But
Yeah, and that's fair.
if
and
they
and
have the
and
two of them going at a certain point, they're both viable, kind of like a
yeah.
Chan and Mostert.
Yeah, and they complement each other quite a bit, I would say, and the way they're both built. So yeah, I would love to see what those two could do together next year if they can both be healthy.
Mhm.
In the latter stages of the season, if they can both get in there
And
and
God
produce.
forbid anything happens to Dobbins, you got Mitchell. So
Yeah.
again, get him cheap and stash him.
Okay. We have a couple Green Bay Packer wide receivers that have not practiced, or there's been mixed reports. I seen some today that had them limited in practice. I had some that were DNP. Either way, it's a murky situation for both Watson and Reed. Watson has been dealing with that hamstring injury, and Reed has been dealing with turf toe, from what has been reported. Love Jaden Reed. He's been awesome. He's got, I think, his 8 touchdowns now on the season, and he's been, used all over the place. I think he's been great. I traded him away to somebody in a dynasty league to make a final push. So I think you're in really good hands with him there, Brendan, and the
I
future. But
love him. I own him
yeah,
as in as many places as I can. He's great out of the slot, and he's such a pleasure to watch. I don't want him to be hurt, but hey, Dontavian Wicks.
yeah. What a story he's been, and he's really surpassed Romeo Dobbs on that depth chart, and he did it pretty quickly. I was never a Dobbs believer. I was more thinking that Jaden Reed, and then this Dontavian Wicks like came out of nowhere. But a lot of people had him scouted highly there, and
Mhm.
we know the Packers and their scouters and how they bring in wide receivers and find gems in the rough, and they've done another one with Jaden Reed and now Dontavian Wicks. So good on them. Way to go.
I This summer I let everybody take Sky Moore and Christian Watson and
Yeah.
or Romeo Dubs and sorry Romeo Dubs and Christian Watson, and I took Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks. So things are looking good for those two guys.
And how great does it look for the Packers' future? Like look how young that wide receiving core is. I think their average age for pass catchers is 23, if I'm not mistaken. They have,
Mm-hmm.
a couple great tight ends in Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. And, I could see that in a year or two developing into like a Hernandez, Gronkowski, hopefully with a
That's
better ending than that. You know what I mean? But both those guys can.
of course
Yeah.
hoping a better ending than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people started bringing up Kraft last week, and I was like, don't forget about Musgrave. He is
Yeah.
every bit as good as Tucker Kraft. Tucker
Totally.
Kraft is very capable.
Tucker
Musgrave
Kraft
is
is more of
better.
the more of the short pass kind of guy, after the catch kind of guy. And Musgrave, man, he's had he not been injured his senior year there, he would have been probably the first tight end off the board this year, ahead of Kincaid and Laporta. So,
He's a
the
big
guy's
slot
got,
in that
yeah,
mold.
yeah, and he's got a pedigree behind him, and a lot going on there. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
I love that. I love that Packers squad. I'm not 100% sold on Jordan Love. He's flashed a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
He's a first year starter, so that
Yeah,
consistency will come. You can see he's had big games, and they've mostly come towards the tail end of the year. So he's starting to get into it. He's starting
yeah,
to get into that rhythm.
yeah.
Home league traded away Tyreek for Jordan Love and Luke Musgrave and other pieces, but it was I like those guys a lot.
Okay. Well, we got Zach Moss. I don't think he's playing this week. I think he's been ruled out, if I'm not mistaken, or he's on the verge of that. Jonathan Taylor coming back is huge news. So all those Trey Sermon people that were, scrambling to the waiver wire to pick him up. Sorry to say, your hopes of plug and play guy there is dwindled down to nothing. And yeah, I knew it would.
Of of course, that was Trey Sermon's career game. So,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
sorry about it.
Yeah. He might move one spot up a depth chart somewhere else because of that game, but not more than that.
He's already
Um,
been in 4 organizations, so
yeah,
we're
exactly. Yeah, fair. Tyreek Hill back to practice is playing 422 yards shy of the record at 3 games to go. So I mean, if he breaks the record, it's on par with Calvin Johnson. I mean, it's only fair that they would do it in a 16 game schedule. I know he's got that high ankle sprain, but he's ready to rock, I think.
he doesn't care about that record. He wants 2,000.
Okay. Okay. So you think he's gonna get it and he's gonna surpass 2,000?
He's definitely within range. I mean, if it with his average points or average yards per game, um, he definitely is in the conversation to
In the
get
kit,
to.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so AJ Dillon is out, so we are gonna see and some more Aaron Jones.
Great.
Yeah, too little, too late for everybody. That there's a couple people that I saw have had him in there, as their flex guys last week. So um, hopefully you've made it through and Aaron Jones is still part of your squad. If you've been able to like scratch your way into a playoff spot and have him make an impact now, which hopefully he can do that for you in your fantasy squad.
I mean, hey, go out and score me 25 points, buddy. But you're only in my starting lineups where I don't have any other choice.
Yeah. Nico Collins returned to practice after missing week 15 with a calf injury. He practiced in limited fashion after a DNP on Wednesday. He will need to practice in full tomorrow, in my opinion, in order to have a shot at playing. It looks like he'll probably play, though. But in a really tough matchup, though, against the Cleveland Browns pass defense, who is, I think they're number one against the pass, if I'm not mistaken. So tough matchup regardless.
Yeah, I don't know how Case Keenum is going to
Keenum.
look.
Yeah.
Case Keenum is going to look against the Browns.
Yeah.
Maybe being former teammates, they'll give him a break. I don't, I don't know.
Well, maybe that's why Case Keenum has been so successful, is because half the teams in the league have to give him a break because he's played for them,
Right.
right?
He's been around.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with that, we like obviously CJ Stroud's not playing, which is just really concerning now because that's now 2 weeks in a row. So how bad is that concussion, and is it something that we have to monitor in the future here?
Well, apparently it was his second one, and it happened to be bad enough for him to be pulled from the game. But I heard that he had suffered one the week before, and it wasn't protocol necessary. But that's still 2 in 2 weeks, and
Yeah,
that's just going to lengthen the recovery time of the second one. So
and that's fair. Yeah.
yeah,
So hopefully he gets back this year because the Texans are still in the thick of it and they still have a shot at
yeah,
making the playoffs. And I would love to see that happen, man. Just a great story, and for an organization that has suffered through that Deshaun Watson kerfuffle and everything that went along with that, and how quickly they were able to rebound now after drafting their guy and playing their cards tight with that CJ Stroud pick too. Like I think the Texans made some good moves here and are a team on the rise, and I want them to make the playoffs just for a lot of reasons. What a great
yeah.
story.
Well, if Josh McDaniels had pulled the trigger, maybe he'd be a Raider and not getting concussed. Thanks,
Yeah.
Josh.
Thanks,
Another
Josh.
win.
Yeah, guy's a winner. Keenan Allen has been ruled out. I don't know if he's going to play for the rest of the year now that Herbert is out. Um, there's not much out there about his injury anyway either. What do you know about it?
That he hurt himself and he's not playing. And,
Mm-hmm.
so
Exactly.
that's missed 2 weeks in a row. There's really no reason for him to come back. They are the bottom team in the AFC West, and who would have thought of that? Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? If somebody had told you, sorry, there's a moth in my face. If somebody had told you Chargers are going to wind up bottom of the division with the Raiders and that Broncos team, you wouldn't have believed them.
No.
But here we are.
Yeah. And who would have thought that the Broncos have a shot at that division still? Like that's
Not
crazy.
me.
Yeah, it's insane. Alexander Madison, high ankle sprain, might be active this week, but it looks like Ty Chandler will be the lead guy moving forward for the Vikings after a monster game in Week 15. Bengals, where he ran 132 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Coach O'Connell said that he is endorsing Chandler moving forward. So let's see what
Mm-hmm.
happens. I
Funny that you
mean,
bring that up because that's the news that I was presented with this morning and I reported on it.
yeah,
And essentially, O'Connell said that Chandler is the guy moving forward, which we've been hammering for the last 16 weeks that was the move to make,
yeah. Before the
including
season started, it was like,
pre-draft. Me with Aaron St. Dennis, who's your like biggest no draft for the year, and I said Alexander Madison. And then we've been like hammering Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler finally gets the job outright in week 15 because of Madison's injury. And O'Connell came out and said it's Chandler's job. And, quote, Madison will provide, quote, bonus depth if he comes back or when he comes back.
yeah.
So Madison's done.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I don't love it for Madison, but I love it for Ty Chandler. I mean,
His
he's
mom is sad. Like, of course, you don't love it for him, but
yeah,
but for fantasy owners, Ty Chandler is he's the guy to own. So,
yeah, he's got
and
some
next
elite
year,
yeah,
Kene Nwangwu.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Special team prowess, Mr. Kenny Wangwu. He's hopefully he can get into that lineup. I don't know. We'll see what happens in Minneapolis with their draft capital too. They might bring in a running back. We'll see what happens. Like there is a need there, obviously. But we'll see if anybody can rise up. Brian Robinson has now been ruled out, so hamstring continues. I think they still give this Chris Rodriguez more looks, like we talked about last week on the show. He did get some play there. He did get quite a bit of run. So,
Mm-hmm.
he had at least 10 rushes last week. I think it was roughly around 39 yards. I don't know the correct stats there, but if I'm not mistaken, right around there. So, you know, roughly 4 yards per carry, not too bad there for a guy that is, coming in there, and we'll see what happens moving forward. I think they get more run this week too.
Our producer just totally screwed up that little transition. I'm going to check my notes real quick, and the matchup is pretty good. It's a terrible matchup for Howell, but it's an okay matchup for Rodriguez and Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
So the game script might not favor the running game very much, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to pass at all. So,
okay. Well, I think we're done with injuries.
oh my god,
Yeah.
is there
There
any
might
other
be more.
just like general news?
Uh, Not really. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so that means that it's time for Studleys.
Yeah. Well, Brandon changed the format last week, so I don't know. Do you want to? I think are you going to reference your top tens then?
I
As part
absolutely am.
Awesome.
So,
I had a shit
oh
week, and I just want to get that over with. Can you just let me get my shit week over
yeah,
with?
yeah, go ahead.
Because I just want to like when your Studley is Tucker Kraft. That was my call. He was a tight end 7 last week, going 4 for 54 and a touchdown. I had a really big whiff, and I'm sorry if you sat Jalen Waddle last week. Tyreek was a late inactive, and the weather was also supposed to play a factor, but I was really wrong in that one. Of course, Waddle went off and was the wide receiver 2 last week, 8 for 142 and a touchdown. So big whiff. There were some others in there though, and I just don't want to relive the pain of last week after a 2-point loss in the fishbowl. Just gonna put last week in the back burner and then refocus on the great squads I have playing this week.
But it's
And
funny because everywhere that I'm looking, it says week 14 and then week 16, and there's no stats for week 16, and I can't find any record of week 15 even happening. So,
Thanks.
there you
Yeah,
go. It was like a meteor or something.
it just
All right.
wiped it out.
All right, so for my Studleys, let's start with the quarterback position. I gave you a top 10, and 8 out of my top 10 finished within the top 19. The worst call of that group was the worst call of the good group. I had Will Levis at 10. He finished at QB 19. But I hit on 80% of them, 60% on my running backs, 50% on my wide receivers, and then I gave you Sam Laporta in my top 4 tight ends, and he finished as tight end 1. And I gave you Hawk, and he, of course, finished 10. I mean, those aren't the standard starts and sits. I threw out the caveat last week that basically I'm giving you guys a list of names for where you have holes and not necessarily the standard 3 starts. And then my Dudley, hey producer, you want to hit that for me real quick? Sure. Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you.
I got it. Yeah,
Time
sure.
for the Dudleys. My big Dudley call of the week. Within my top 10 quarterbacks, I had one slinging Sammy Dots Howell, and he gave me a number 29 finish. I had him as my 9th ranked, and so that's absolutely a Dudley call. Way to go, me.
Yeah, they yanked him. They gave him the good old yank job.
Yeah.
Oh well, it happens.
Bigger and
Right,
better
man.
things this week. Let's go, Samuel Howell.
Let's go, Puka Nakua.
Howell actually has the worst quarterback matchup this week too, and everywhere that I started him last week, I have to start him this week.
That's hilarious.
He's had a bad run, and he's another first year starter, second year player.
Yep.
He got his feet wet last year, got the starting job this year. He's a top 10 fantasy quarterback this season. I don't know what all the shade is for. He's just been inconsistent, kind of like Jordan Love. That's going to happen. And even CJ Stroud was inconsistent. He went on a run of so many games without an interception, and then all of a sudden, interceptions just started like coming out of the woodwork.
Filing out, yeah.
So there's room for growth. It's first year, new system, offensive coordinator is brand new, and Eric Bieniemy, who is probably going to be moving on after Ron Rivera gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
Please, love you, go Bears, but get out of town. You're ruining my Commanders.
All right, so let's do it.
Starts, baby. Start. And this is for your Christmas weekend. I'm going to go ahead and give you my top 10. And let's start with the quarterbacks. The number 1 best matchup for quarterbacks this week is going to be Trevor Siemian. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph, Baker Mayfield, as Bradley Stalder would say, let Mayfield bake. Cutlets, Ryan Tannehill, Nick Mullins, Kyler Murray. My top 10 is going to be adjusted because I'm just giving you a top 9 now that Trevor Lawrence is likely not playing. Josh Allen, number 1. Joe Flacco, number 2. Jalen Hurts, number 3. Dak Prescott, number 4. Baker Mayfield, number 5. And that is your big boned, it's big ball call of the week. Baker Mayfield, QB 5 this week. Brock Purdy 6, Lamar Jackson 7, Patrick Mahomes 8, and Jared Goff 9.
Perfect.
I don't see CJ Beathard stepping into the Lawrence role and finishing as QB1, although it is a pretty fantastic matchup.
It is. All right. So I got a start of the week here, and that is my Isaiah Pacheco versus your Raiders. Pacheco is back, and the Raiders team that has surrendered 2 TDs to Pacheco on the last time they met will have a hard time keeping him in check this week. Pacheco was the RB9 prior to his injury. Look for him to get back into this form. Pacheco is an RB1 for me this week.
You know what? Just because you said that, and just because of the problems that you said that a certain Raiders quarterback was going to have the last time our teams played against each other, and considering the fact that I have him in the Bass Bash, my all quarterback league, and the fact that I had to drop Trevor Lawrence out of my top 10, so there's a spot there. One Aiden O'Connell, rookie phenom from Purdue, in the Bass Bash put up 40 points for me the last time these teams face each other. So my quarterback 10 is Aiden O'Connell. AOC 4, baby. Let's go.
All right.
However, remember when we were on the same page last week? You remember that? You remember?
Yeah.
Remember that? That was awesome. We are on the same page this week. My best matchup running back this week is Zeke. Chuba is next. DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson, Kyron Williams, Paycheck, whoever is the Washington Commanders running back. So it's a good matchup for them. And then rounding it out is Jonathan Taylor. My top 10. Number 1, DeAndre Swift. Number 2, Isaiah Pacheco against the Raiders. Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, Kyron Williams, JT, Jonathan Taylor, not JT from Dynasty Pros. Although, JT, if you want to get out there and run for the Colts, I'm sure you'll do pretty well. I have another Big Bonus Big Ball call of the week. It's a co-Big Ball call.
Nice.
My running back 7 this week, Bijan Mustard.
All right.
Ed McCaffrey's kid, Raheem Mostert, and James Cook at the number 10 spot, rounding it out.
All right. Well, here comes the start of the week here. I got another one. Chuba Hubbard once again has been solid since week 15. Last week in week 15.
It's not last week.
That was last week, everybody. Atlanta versus Atlanta. He had 22 carries for 87 yards, 2 catches for 16 yards. He's averaging 16.6 points per game over the last 4 games. This week, he has taken on a Packers defense that has been awful against running backs as of late, like Brendan mentioned, as being a soft matchup. So I'm going to go with Chuba this week. He's totally supplanted Miles Sanders in that backfield and is running. He's probably one of the only bright spots in that whole offense. So see what happens.
Chuba, 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 choo, choo.
Chuba.
All right. My wide receivers, best matchups: Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Wandale Robinson, or Sterling. What are they even doing over there? DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson / Addison, and then whoever the wide receiver is in Arizona. That's just another mess, so avoid that. My top 10, number 1, CeeDee Lamb. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. Number 3, Stephon Diggs. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. Number 5, Amari Cooper. Number 6, Jordan Addison. Number 7, Deebo Samuel. Number 8, Mike Evans. Number 9, A.J. Brown. And number 10, rounding it out, the sun god himself, Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice. I got Jefferson, Evans, and Amon-Ra in one of my leagues, so I'm hoping that pans out well for me.
Nice.
Okay, so I got a start of the week here, and it's Chris Godwin. and he's getting hot at the right time with 23 targets in his past 2 games. He has 15 catches for 208 yards in those games. Now they get the Jags, who rank 10th in the league in most fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. 8 wide receivers have scored at least 14.5 fantasy points against Jacksonville, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans should be able to take advantage of that secondary. And Baker Mayfield, just like Brendan has said, is playing at a really high level. Evans has got top 10 upside, and so does Chris Godwin as a top 24 wide receiver, I'd say, this week.
Let Mayfield bake. Also,
Mm-hmm.
I had Trey Palmer in my 32-team dynasty last week, and that worked out pretty darn good. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, it was my Jamal Agnew start. That's
Agnew.
what. Yeah,
yes, I heard you. Yeah,
Agnew got me 30 points, and that was pretty ballsy to start Jamal Agnew. But it's a 32-team league, and we get return points, and he's the primary returner. So I had him in there thinking that he was going to pick up 8 to 10 points doing punt and kickoff returns. He winds up catching a 60-something yard touchdown and bumped that up to 30. So it was a blowout. The 3 most important leagues that I was looking at last week and hoping to advance, I was the high scorer in all of them. So that was pretty cool.
Way to go, Bal.
All right, it's time for the sits. Get on your duff, big guy.
All right. Got. Shall I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I start? Actually, I did the starts. Shall I sit? Okay, I'm sitting down. All right.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley versus the Eagles. What? Saquon? How are you sitting Saquon, Grindberg? Well, this is more of a warning to temper your expectations. He's facing the Eagles. They have only allowed 2 touchdowns at home to runners. So they're in a really, really tough situation. Barkley, disappointed last week, and now the Eagles have got a top 5 run defense. So I'm not expecting much from Barkley this week. I think the Eagles have a really good bounce back game here and are going to hold the Giants pretty intact.
Yeah. And speaking of Eagles defense, I don't know how many of you know this, but the Scott Fish Bowl is essentially a charity event. So it's this huge tournament. There's 3,300 people. Mike and I have been talking about it all season long because it's so energizing and it's such a galvanizing force for the fantasy football community, the creator space, all that stuff. It's how we got together. It's how I've made all kinds of friends, both online and in real life. I mean, it's simply because of the Scott Fish Bowl. Well, the driving force behind the Scott Fish Bowl is fantasycares.org. So go to that website or go to Twitter and try and find fantasycares.org. Bob Gilchrist, Russ Fisher, Scott Fish, like these guys are running this stuff. And what they did was, if you haven't heard about it by now, they're doing it's kind of like an advent calendar. It's 25 days of Christmas, so starting on the first day of December to the 25th day of December, anybody who donated $20 or more got a bunch of entries, and every day on YouTube, they do a little show where they do a random drawing, and whoever wins the random drawing gets an autographed jersey. The last few days have been Addison, Diggs, Jefferson, a Jamal Charles jersey. They've given away like 3 Harrison Bryant jerseys for those that care. But it wasn't just the 25 jerseys for the 25 days. They had a whole selection of jerseys. So in random drawings during the show, for the people who are in YouTube, in the comment section watching the show, they've been giving away Funko Pops. They've been giving away other signed jerseys. They're giving away golden tickets, which automatically puts you in. If you're signed up for the Scott Fish Bowl 14 for next year, you win the golden ticket. You're automatically in. You don't need to wait for an invite. They had, I think, 6 total to give away. 5 of them went into the jersey boxes. There's still like 2 or 3 that are out there for people to win. So tomorrow morning, go to Fantasy Cares YouTube channel and make sure that you you notify yourself and everything. Go to the fantasycares.org website, donate to charity, then get in there. I've been in there almost every single day except for a couple. And I haven't hit on the donation giveaway, but in the peripheral games, there we've had trivia games, we've had type a player name into the chat, and then everybody goes into a randomizer. 6 different times I've been one name away from the winner. 5 of those times it hit on me and then just barely slid to the winner, and then one time it hit the winner and I was the next one. 6 times. 6 times. It was driving me crazy. But this week, a couple days ago, my name came up, even though Russ misspelled it. Bang! I got a Jalen Mills Green Goblin Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Love it. As soon as I get it, it's going up on the wall behind me so everybody can see it. It's just such a wonderful event, and everybody, it's highly recommended that you go get involved in that, because who doesn't want to win a random Funko or a signed jersey? You know what I mean?
Congrats, man. I'm happy
Yeah.
for you. That's so awesome.
Felt good.
It's such a great tournament, a great cause. I had so much fun doing it. Those that participated, we all have a blast. So I'm really excited for next year if I can get into it again. And so thankful for every opportunity.
Well, let's get to these sits real quick.
Okay.
Because we're coming up on the hour mark, and we don't want to create extra work for Nick. All right, so worst quarterbacks matchups this week. So instead of sits, I'm giving you a bottom 10 matchups. So just keep in mind that it's a bad matchup for your guys. Mm-hmm. If you have better alternatives, say an equal or slightly lesser guy that has a better matchup, go with them. Worst matchup, Sam Howell. Number 2, Jordan Love. Number 3, Houston quarterback. Case Keenum, Davis Mills, who knows. Number 4, we won't get to because he's my number 10 quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. Number 5, Brock Purdy, Big Cock Brock. Number 6, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 7, Matt Stafford, who's having a fine night tonight. Number 8, Easton Stick. 9, Gardner Minshew. And number 10, Patty Boy, Patty Mahomes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I've got George Pickens as a sit this week versus the Bengals. He's been a dud in the stat sheet the last couple of weeks. Fewer than 10 points in the last 7 to 8 games. I don't know if you saw him line up last week. Zero effort happening there. So it's not like he's in good form with Mike Tomlin. With the change of offensive coordinator, with Mitchell Trubisky starting, and now it's Mason Rudolph. Like, I just not sold on this offense whatsoever. So he may hit, but is it worth the gamble? Not in my book. So George Pickens is a sit for me.
I need whoever takes over with the Chargers to go out and grab themselves Treylon Burks and George Pickens and put them. I want those two guys on a competent team that's going to get them 110 targets each every year. And I mean, you'll be rewarded if you do that.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when people started putting up video of George Pickens' lack of block on that run play, because that's not been Pickens' MO through any game that he's played in college, through any game that he's played to this point. He's a dog, and blocking was one of his prides. The fact that he goes out there and is fierce about it. He's an absolute wolf out on the field when it comes to the blocking game. That's one of the reasons that the Steelers were so high on him, why people wanted him on their NFL rosters, because as a rookie, blocking is one of those things that takes people a while to kind of get. You need to get the playbook down, but you also need to show that you have that dog in you, and he did that right away. So I was kind of shocked. Turns out there was a reason. He was really, really scared by all the injuries that have been happening. and he's gun shy. He doesn't want to mix it up when he doesn't have to,
Mm.
which I kind of understand on one hand. On the other hand, cut the diva shit. Just get rid of the diva shit. It's like go out there, play the game like you know that you're supposed to. And I mean, he's had a knee injury. I understand being scared,
Yeah.
but that's not why you're out there. That's not why you're getting paid 10, 15, 20 million dollars a year. So just put in the work. Come on, god damn it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh worst running back matchups this week. Javonte Williams, number 1, James Conner, number 2. And I gave you James Conner as the worst, and he did not have a good game. Travis Etienne, number 3. Gus Edwards, number 4. So anybody who had Keaton Mitchell that was hoping for a big Gus bus push this week, likely not going to happen. Not against that 49er defense. Whoever starts in Houston, Dameon Pierce or Devin Singletary, doesn't look good. Jahmyr Gibbs, matchup proof. Put him in your lineup. Saquon Barkley, Ty Chandler, Tony Pollard, let's go Rico Dowdle, and Rashad White. In that list, I say Gibbs, Saquon, and White are matchup proof. But I say that, and I'm sitting Saquon if I can.
Well, thanks. You're just reiterating what I said. You're just being a good friend. Thanks.
Typically, he's matchup proof.
Yeah.
I don't think this week is the same.
All right. So my last sit here is Jerome Ford in Houston. Jerome Ford has fizzled out the last 4 games in which he has not surpassed 65 yards rushing in any one of those games. Kareem Hunt is now getting and has been getting the goal line work. Houston enters this game as a 6th-ranked defense versus the run in a split backfield with 2 backup quarterbacks. I'm not expecting a lot of points to be scored in this one. Look elsewhere if you can in semifinal weekend. And I guess you can't really consider Joe Flacco as a backup quarterback at this stage because he's playing some of the best football. Let's not like sugarcoat of his career, really. I mean, he's playing really, really good. He's rejuvenated that Browns offense, and he could go off this week. But I don't know. I'm just not looking for Ford to have a big game against the Houston's defense.
I'm not either. I'm starting him because I have to. What would be a great story, though, for this NFL season is if Joe Flacco, who last year I kept saying if he was the starting quarterback the whole year for the Jets, they would have made the playoffs. He's shown that he's capable.
Yeah.
If that Browns defense takes Flacco to the Super Bowl and somehow the Browns finally, after decades of abject futility, wind up hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, Joe Flacco will be the first quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl championship for 2 teams in the same division. How crazy would that be? Let's go, Joe.
What, 2 decades apart?
Yeah. Yeah, I love me some Joes from Delaware.
All right. Let's wrap this show up here because
All
we're
right.
running OT.
Worst wide receiver matchups this week. Number 1, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed. Anybody with the Houston Bull on the side of their helmet. Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel. Although I will say Deebo should be in your lineup. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Although I will say both of those guys should be in your lineup. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Although I will say Puka should have been in your lineup. Joshua Palmer. Although I will say Joshua Palmer needs to be in your lineup. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, and Rashee Rice.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Did you have a third sit?
No, I did them all.
You did 3 sits already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you know what that means.
Yes, I do. Like
those bikes that you used to ride and then out of the handles. Streamers! Let's go. All right. You go first while I call this up.
Are we gonna do defense?
Your dealer's choice.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do an encore performance here on my tight end. I'm gonna go Tucker Kraft again. I love where he's come from. I love where he's headed. The sequel here, Tucker Kraft, the sequel, a couple banged up wideouts for Green Bay. Looking for Kraft to continue his late season emergence. Look for him to finish as a top 12 guy once again this week.
My top 10 tight ends this week. Evan Ingram. I should drop him down in
Yeah, you
the
might have to
lineup.
drop him now, but
I'll put him at 10 then. All right, so then number 1, David Njoku, Hawkinson, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce, Jake Ferguson, George Kittle, Cole Kmet, and number 10, Evan Ingram. Just for a little bit of reference, the top 10 tight end matchups this week: Tyler Conklin, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Firemouth, Cade Otton, Darren Waller, Chigo Kwankwo, Hawkinson, and McBride.
Nice. All right. My streaming defense is the Broncos versus the Patriots. The Broncos have been playing really good football as of late. I mean, their defense has stepped up, especially since that 70-point game. They weren't great last week, but, I think they're going to have a really good game here versus the Patriots and Bailey Zappi. So look for the Broncos to have a decent one this week.
I think they're going to have enough of a lead that Bailey Zappi is going to have a pretty big week too. All right. So defenses that are out there that should be really, really good options for you this week. I have 4. Denver is included in that group. Indianapolis Colts, New York Jets, Denver Broncos, Cincinnati Bengals. If any of them are available, stick them in your lineup.
Absolutely.
That's it for me.
That's it for me. All right, that's it for us. And it's our last show before Christmas break here. And then we'll be back next week for championship week, ringing in the new year. I'm really excited to see what Brendan's Whiskey and Minute's going to be next week for the New Year's celebration. So maybe we'll shake up some champagne or something.
I have a feeling I'm still going to be working on the single serving bottle.
I doubt it. Not you, my friend. Not through the holidays. But thanks, everybody. And, if you're still listening in, we know you're a diehard supporter of us and we appreciate everybody. You know where to find us. We're not going to get into that, but just everybody just take some time to enjoy your family, enjoy your friends. I enjoy Brandon's company, and I hope you guys all enjoy us as well.
I'm so glad that you guys are still watching, because if you're still watching, that means you either really, really like us and what we do and who we are, or you're still in the playoffs and you need some good information. So that's what we're here to give you. So thank you for being here. Subscribe to the channel if you just randomly came across us. Hit the bell, share us around, comment in the comment section. Find me at Big Boned FFB on Twitter. Find Mike at FFCanuck99 on Twitter. Find my podcast channel on YouTube, The Fantasy Burn. Find both of our writings at dynastyprosfootball.com. If you don't want to read our stuff, read everybody else's stuff. They just had a really cool 2024 rookie mock draft for Dynasty Leagues, all of your Dynasty fantasy content, and we will be hitting all of that coming up starting a week from Monday, because that will be the fantasy off season while we work our way through the NFL playoffs and into the Super Bowl and then to the Combine and then the rookie draft. Mm-hmm. But don't forget the Senior Bowl and the rookie camps and all that stuff. We will have tons of content coming to you from all different angles: Player Profiler, Dynasty Pros, my own personal website. We're going to be doing interviews. We're going to be doing mock drafts. We're going to be doing live mock drafts. We're going to be doing all that stuff. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter so that you'll be apprised of the situation wherever it is. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football. I hope you win. And Merry fucking Christmas.
Peace.
I hear those sleigh bells ringing and jingling too. And so they ride first, they ride together.
Better get this outro kicking.